On today's Newsmakers, is the rapture upon us? There's a viral claim apparently that September 23rd is the day of the rapture, but we're here to break down why that might not be the case. I'm joined today by CBN's Nair, and we're going to explain the rapture, what the Bible actually says about timing, date setting, and so much more. With no further ado, here is our conversation.
Will the rapture happen on September 23rd? As in a couple weeks from now? Well, this concept has become viral all of a sudden, and here are just a few clips of what's happening online.
Is the rapture really now in September? That's what a lot of people have been saying. You may have seen many videos, TikToks, or comments claiming the rapture is coming in September. This is during the Jewish Feast of Trumpets.
But then I saw a TikTok of a guy saying he was selling his house and all of his cars, and he was getting himself ready for the rapture happening on September 23rd. And I realized people actually think the rapture is happening September 23rd.
I've been asked to speak and address the idea or the message that's been spreading that's viral that there's going to be the rapture. It will fall on this September of 2025 on Rosh Hashanah.
CBN's Billy Hallowell joins us now. Billy, what's going on with this whole September 23rd rapture idea?
You know, I hope it's happening. I'm going to pack my stuff right now and get ready to go. But no, look, the rapture is not an event. None of these prophetic events, any end times event, we are not supposed to be date setting. And we'll talk about that in a moment. But for some reason, people have sort of fixated, and I think it's because you have a Jewish holiday, right? The Feast of Trumpets, Rosh Hashanah, that is happening. I believe it's on sundown on the 22nd through the 24th of September. And so the 23rd falling in the middle of that during the Feast of Trumpets, it is sparking all sorts of speculation. You take that event, right, on the calendar, the new year there, and you mix it with all the things that are happening in the Middle East right now, with Israel, with a push for a two-state solution, with other countries probably very quickly trying to push on Israel to, adopt this two-state solution. So people have, for some reason, said, oh, the rapture is happening. And I have to tell you, we have seen this again and again and again. It goes back centuries of people trying to predict, when we're not supposed to, the date of the rapture. And the most infamous one of late happened a few years back with Harold Camping saying that he had a specific date for the rapture. I think he even chose a second date when the first one didn't happen based on all these calculations. And there's some real dangers to this, which we can talk about. But that's sort of the background of what is going on here.
Well, obviously, the verse that people will pull out here is Matthew 24:36. But about the day or hour, no one knows, not even the angels in heaven, nor the Son, but only the Father. But then you also will hear these people, I don't mean that in a derogatory sense, and there's a large camp of folks that will say, Daniel actually predicted the coming of the Messiah to the day. And so we should be hyper vigilant to be studying prophecy, hyper vigilant to be reading the signs and the times, hyper vigilant to see, to calculate this kind of thing. So Billy, obviously you've spent a lot of time researching end time stuff, researching latter days concepts and biblical worldviews. What do you think is, not to put you on the spot, the most biblical way of handling these date sets?
Now, I love that question because, by the way, it's not just in Matthew, it's also Mark 13:32 says almost the same exact thing word for word about nobody knowing the day or the hour. So you see it there twice in the Gospels. Here's the deal. When you go and you look at what Jesus says, he talks about all sorts of things. When he's asked by the disciples for the signs of the end times, right? He talks about false messiahs and prophets. He talks about wars and disasters, earthquakes and famines, right? He says these are just the beginning. He talks about persecution, all sorts of different elements. He talks about the importance of endurance and all of that, right? There's so much more there. But I think the appropriate balance is to be aware of these signs, right? To know that we're always marching toward the end of days. And I think the key difference between, Daniel and the first prophecies that we're talking about of Jesus and the end times is that the end times is about the end of the age, the new era, the new heaven and earth. And there's so much debate and discussion about all of that. It's a very different type of prophecy. So we're told to be aware of those signs. I think there's a reason why Jesus gives us those, but not to obsess about the day or the hour, because so many things, need to happen or are going to happen based on what we see in prophecy. So I think our balance is, don't date set, know that we're always marching toward it. And here's the deal. It doesn't matter whether the rapture happens tomorrow or whether there are some people who believe the rapture and the second coming are one and the same. We won't get into that debate. But what I will say is that we need to be ready, always ready. If you really believe the end of days is coming, you should probably be reaching out to people who don't know the Lord, witnessing to them and sharing with them. That should be our focus, not date setting, which we're specifically told not to do.
Yeah, I think there's a tendency to go one way or the other. One of the tendencies that I hear is to just totally ignore prophecy, right? Or it's like, listen, Jesus won, like, who cares? Like, when it happens, don't worry about it, don't think about it. I don't think that view is biblical. Now, dedicating every waking moment to, finding the exact time, I mean, that's your prerogative. But I do think it's interesting that the book of Revelation which is basically a book of prophecy, starts with chapter 1, verse 3, blessed is the one who reads aloud the words of this prophecy, and blessed are those who hear it and take to heart what is written in it, because the time is near. So there's two sides of every coin, usually, like there are in these theological debates, I guess you could say. So let us hear what I'm genuinely curious. What do you think about not just date setting in general, but September 23rd? Put it in the comment section. Let's keep it civil, but there is a healthy debate in the church among these kind of not primary issues when it comes to salvation and things like that. But I do think it's biblical. It's right there for us to talk about and to understand. So let us know in the comment section where you stand on these things, where you think people are getting them wrong, where you think we should be focusing more on. But I do think this is a subject that's going to get more and more attention as the rise of AI, the rise of global wars, Israel's being more maligned and ostracized than ever before. So you have a lot of these things in play. But let us know. Let us know in the comment section, and we will be obviously talking about this more and more in the days to come. But Billy, I will give you the last word.
Yeah, I think it's natural that people are asking questions, right? And wondering where we are in the prophetic timeline because of what is happening in the Middle East, because we know Revelation talks about Israel. I mean, the entire Bible does, right? And we know that 1948, in the eyes of many, including myself, is believed to be a fulfillment of prophecies we see in the book of Ezekiel, for instance. And so there's a lot happening. And so it's natural to ask questions. We want to ask healthy questions. We don't want to obsess about a specific date. Only God knows. And our mission is not to obsess about that. Our mission is to be aware of it, to look for the signs, to understand. And those signs should spark us to, again, preach the gospel to the people around us so that we make sure they are saved, right? If we're really worried it's happening soon, then we need to make sure we get people saved. So appreciate this conversation, Raj. That's all for today's Newsmakers. Make sure you head on over to the CBN News YouTube channel and cbnnews.com for more of the news you need to read. We'll see you again tomorrow.